Flopsy and the Easter Bunny Olympics, Part 19 of 40. Cedrinim mustered his squad of 90 bunnies to our 9 across, 10 deep marching formation and returned us to the burdened endurance quadrant. Stopping in front of a black-furred, one-eyed bunny, he declared, "Everyone, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Bright Eyes," a comment that elicited a loud grating noise that combined a laugh with a cough from Woundwort. "Something funny?" Bright Eyes asked, his voice gruff. "No disrespect," Woundwort replied, his face twisted in mockery. "Your name's just a bit at odds with your appearance." "Woundwort!" Cedrinim declared as he strode towards the troublesome rabbit. "Said!" Bright Eyes exclaimed to Cedrinim as he hopped over to Woundwort. "I got this." Turning to Woundwort, he asked, "Something we need to discuss here, son?" "Son?" Woundwort asked. "I'm pretty familiar with my family tree, and none of my recent ancestors are or were named Bright Eyes. Certainly not my father. Or mother." "Did I hear Cedrinim call you Woundwort?" Bright Eyes asked as he stood directly in front of Woundwort. "There's an interesting name for you. Lots of history there." "My uncle," suggested it, Woundwort said with a grin. "My uncle, Tempestus Lacus." "Ah, that one's your uncle, eh? Guess that explains a lot." "Ha! That's a little bit funny. My name is Bright Eyes, you know, as in the middle of the month. I was born Easter Day, and the year I was born Easter fell on April 15th. You know, the Ides of April. By the by, I lost this eye, repulsing the Woundwort rebellion." "That's a real shame. You losing your eye, fighting Woundwort. Like I said, no disrespect intended." "Oh, you've made me certain of your respect for many things. The goal of the Easter Games is to select Easter bunnies. You do know sports bunnyship and courtesy are part of the game selection process, yes?" "Absolutely," Woundwort replied, a smirk on his face. "Good. Be sure to show it. I'd hate for you to be yanked for unsports bunny-like conduct." "Thank you, Bright Eyes. I'm sure there's no chance of that," Woundwort replied, his voice full of snakes. Bright Eyes silently stared at Woundwort for a full 5 seconds before turning away and declaring to the 90 other rabbits within hearing range, "All right, Easter Bunny wannabes, it's time to move on to the game's great big gnarly granddaddy, the 2,000-meter burdened endurance. Same format as your previous race, so 6 groups of 15 lined up in 6 rainbow-hue color-coded starts. Straightforward format, and each of you will again carry half your weight distributed equally in 2 baskets that will be fastened securely to your backs. Fastest bunny earns 90 points, while the slowest earns 1. Any questions before we start?" Bustle stood on her hind legs, raised a paw, and asked, "Mr. Bright Eyes, sir, are there things that could result in penalties for racers? Anything we should know not to do?" "Good question," Bright Eyes said. "Your name?" "My name is Bustle, sir." "Same rules as your first round. As I mentioned, starting positions are determined by bib number. The 15 bunnies with the lowest bib number start in the first or red heat, and the 15 with the highest start last. Total time from start to finish is what determines your score, not how many bunnies you have in front or behind you as you complete your 8th lap. Avoid physical contact with other racers, show proper sports bunnyship, and of course your baskets must remain strapped to you with their full weight load until you cross the finish line with the completion of your 8th lap. Is that clear, young lady?" "Absolutely, sir. Just wanted to make sure we all knew the rules before we start the race. Some bunnies seem to have difficulty with knowing and obeying rules, if you know what I mean, sir." "I see," Bright Eyed said, nodding to Bustle. Yes. I believe I understand your meaning completely, young doe. Thank you. All right," he continued, his voice once again loud enough for all to hear easily. "Let's get those baskets on and start this race."